I'd like to call this meeting to order at Town Pelletier Board of Commissioners at 6:30, Monday, February the 3rd, 2025. Roll call.
Walter Benson.
Here.
Dan Taylor.
Here.
Dale Sowers.
Here.
Sonny Mason.
Here.
David Bragg.
Here.
Tim Church.
Here.
Okay, let's all stand for the pledge and invocation, please. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for each and every one that is present. And we ask, O Lord, to be with us. Help all of us to do that which is pleasing unto you. Help us to do things that be beneficial to this town. Take care of each of us and bring us back to the next appointed meeting. In your precious name we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right, approval of the agenda. Everybody's got the agenda in front of them. If there's no changes, do I hear a motion to approve the agenda as written?
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, next is the approval of the minutes of the January 6, 2025 meeting. No changes. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes as written?
Motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we'll move to department report. Lieutenant Jensen isn't here tonight. He had to fill in at the Broad Creek Middle School. There was an officer out sick, and so he's there at the middle school basketball game. He was very excited. You should have heard him. So anyhow, he won't be here tonight. We'll move right along to West Carter Fire and EMS. Chief?
Good evening. So January started off with a nice fun time in the weather. Surprisingly enough, we didn't have a single vehicle accident. Don't ask me how we accomplished that, but we did. Have no clue. We wound up with 184 calls for service, which was a 12% increase from January 2024. It's 21 more calls already just for January from year over year. At 133 EMS, we had 6 fire calls. We did go to a few structure fires. Most of them were out of our district. One of them was in Cape Carteret the other night. 3 MVC rescues. One of them was a water rescue. Don't ask me why in the world somebody wants to go out in a brand new boat that they've never been in a White Oak at 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay.
And that was fun. And 42 service calls classed as other. Pelletier wound up with a 19 total. We had 16 EMS, 1 MVC, and 2 service calls. Fire marshal's report. So we did 41 inspections this month. Pelletier had 2. We had 2 smoke detectors were installed within the district, and we had 2 smoke detectors that were inspected. 2 plan reviews. We made contact with 22 adults and 35 children so far. It's been a busy month and has not slowed down in a few days of February. So. Any questions?
You have a new inspector.
So we are bringing on a new part-time inspector. The
Okay.
one we had before, she went on maternity leave and she decided not to come back. He actually works full-time with Emerald Isle Fire Department, and he's looking to kind of expand his knowledge in the inspector side of the house, so he's going to be working for us part-time, helping out Assistant Chief Penrod.
All right, well, I guess,
I gave him.
Yep.
Bob dropped the paper off, and I noticed the name I wasn't expecting to see.
Yeah, yeah.
And,
Well, and it was kind of a shock to me when he come to me with it and who it was. So I was like, I mean, he wants to learn, the more the merrier. It
Yeah.
helps us out for sure.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Getting all the inspections done year after year is a lot for one person, and much less two.
I got you. All right, any questions for Chief Penny? All right, thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Next, the financial report.
$274,558.58. General fund, $39,434.72 in the foul fund. And we'll be starting to work on the budget shortly, right?
Yep, next year's budget.
Next year's budget.
Yeah. Okay.
Karen will do that for us.
Anybody have any questions on it? All right, planning report.
No new business, no old business.
Oh, it's none of your business. All right, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Commissioners report. Commissioner Vincent?
I haven't gotten it before, I'll pass something on the comments.
Well, that's okay.
Oh, anyway, all I'm gonna do is, at our church, this Friday night, December the 7th, 6 o'clock. We have something every Friday night, the first Friday night of every month, we have a fellowship thing. And this Friday night, we're gonna be cooking, I'll be cooking barbecue chicken. And if you haven't had any of the chicken, you need to come try it. It's world famous. I'm not just bragging, but it really is. It's good. And so we would, at 6 o'clock, everybody's welcome. It's just a social for everybody. Anybody wants to come. So everybody can come. We'd be glad to have you.
Where is that?
Our Fellowship Baptist Church.
Okay.
And they get the fellowship hall. We'll be cooking. I'm gonna cook at it. Anyway, we will have chicken we'll be eating in the fellowship hall.
Okay.
But it's at 6 o'clock Friday. Everybody's welcome.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you.
And just pass the word out.
Will do.
I hope we'll eat till the chicken gives out.
That's a good plan.
All right.
Each with the chicken deal, okay?
Commissioner Taylor?
Nothing positive or negative at this time.
All right. Commissioner Mason?
No, sir, I'm good.
Commissioner Bragg?
No, sir.
Commissioner Quinn?
Nothing here.
All right. Only thing I have is, Brookside Court. There's a stop sign that needs to be replaced. I believe I've located the stop sign, so just need, to make sure we get it done.
What's that at?
Brookside Court in 5 Acres. So, what else did we have? There was, we have 2 CDs at First Citizens, and they don't have a very good rate. But I believe we were told we could get a better rate if we did business, if we had a checking account there. Isn't that correct?
Well, they would try that, but they want our business back.
Oh, that's what we're doing. Have you looked?
Well, we could check into it, but we do have 2 CDs there, one for 20,000 and one for 30,000. So, and they've been in there for,
Well, they renewed, remember, we had to close the old ones, set up new ones last year.
yeah,
And I think I gave you one of the statements that came in.
okay. But we've had that money there for quite a while, so.
Where's it at now? Oh,
First Citizens
It's at
Bank,
First Citizens now.
yes, 50,000 is
I thought
plus
that we-
the
I
interest.
thought that's where we were doing business. I hadn't looked.
No, Truist.
Huh?
We do business at Truist.
I know a better interest.
But what we're not,
That's it.
Huh?
what we're not doing business at First Citizens at the time we took them.
No,
You sure?
Yeah,
We went to Truist because of the mortgage on the building.
yeah, yeah.
Can you check out and see what,
Say something to a public.
if we
That's ridiculous.
move our business to them, that we get a good rate?
Better rates on CDs? Cause I mean, we have $274,000, it'd be easy enough to, if they could give us a better rate, put another 30,000 in CDs and let it gain interest for the town instead of just sitting there.
We can't do anything like that, can we?
No,
Say something.
no.
You'd have to commit to a term limit, wouldn't you? How many years you put it in?
No, well, that's the different types. So anyhow, just check in on it. What?
Fire department has them at Dogwood Bank, and we get 3.5%.
Money market's like 4.22 right now, like Charles Schwab, and to pull it out, if you need to pull it out, and there's
Well,
some
we,
treasury.
remember
notes.
now, we're dealing with taxpayers' money,
Yeah.
so we can't,
It has to be,
it's,
Right.
Yeah, it's different.
but
Yeah.
there's some not CDs, treasury, aren't those protected?
I don't know.
I just saw a higher interest rate on that.
It has to be a pooling bank, and there's certain banks that are pooling.
Pooling?
Pooling is what they call it.
POOL?
Okay, we're gonna move on to new business. Is Carlton's gonna go over the subdivision ordinance with us. Now, I know this is a lengthy deal, so just so you know, we're not gonna be able to get through it all tonight, so, we'll get through majority. And we know you worked hard on this, and you worked hard with the planning board on it. And I don't mean to sound cruel, but sometimes after you get, I want to make sure everybody stays focused. Now, to me being a carpenter and you being the planner, it could get kind of boring in a way. And I don't want it to get boring for the board. I want them to stay focused, so I don't want to try to cram it all in one night.
Yeah, I completely agree with you.
All right, well, I don't want
I'm
to.
good with it.
Okay, all right. So anyhow, I'm going to turn it over to you, and then that way we could go ahead and get this started, and maybe here in about 30 minutes we can take a break from it. So we'll see if you can get to a stopping point.
Do we want to go through all 4 pages, or do we want to go through everything tonight, or do we want to just go through like half of it and then pick it up at a later meeting?
I would say half of it. Anyhow,
Okay. Well, do y'all have do y'all have this?
yes.
Why don't I just go through these first 2 pages tonight? And I mean, that'll be more than a half, and then we can pick up, next meeting, we can continue those.
Let's see. All right, these here.
Yeah,
Y'all got these. Go to the back.
I think that'll be good, because there's a lot of content, and I don't want to just kind of push all this stuff through without, everybody being able to digest what these changes are.
Yeah, and that's what I'm wanting, Carlton, because, you know, like I say, I know y'all put a lot of time in it. You, the planning board, you got Ronald and Donna has worked hard on this, and I just don't want to rush through it and make a mistake. So,
But, no, I agree with you.
okay.
Okay, I'll just start, I'll go from, I'll start from the top of the spreadsheet, and, pretty much everything, this pretty much has all the details, but y'all can stop me if you have any specific questions, and, there's not really that much I can elaborate on, but I can kind of help explain the spreadsheet. So for, and I'll go by row number. So, row one, another thing I want to do, the column proposed change item to review, that was something given to me to review. And then, the next column, the review analysis, explains, what I did to, my review and analysis. And then the next column, actions, those are my recommended changes to the ordinances, that are included in the edited copies of the ordinances. So, these are grouped by, grouped by types of changes. So there's some sort of logical order to this. The first 7 rows are related to sidewalks. This is specifically the subdivision ordinance. The zoning ordinance isn't until the last, that's not until the last 3 rows in the spreadsheet. So everything we're going to talk about tonight is going to be under the subdivision ordinance. So, planning board wants, is interested in developers installing sidewalks around major streets, new major streets within the development. I noticed that major street or major road is not clearly defined within the ordinance, and this is not like a major street or a major road as defined by like DOT subdivision standards or by like a transportation improvement plan. This is just a definition for the ordinance. So I created a subsection specific definition for major road and minor road. Major road being a road, proposed road serving 10 or more lots, than a minor road being a proposed road that serves fewer than 10 lots. And I created a new requirement that a new major road, so 10 or more lots being served within a subdivision, must have sidewalks installed on both sides of the road. And that's related to the row ID number 2. I created a requirement that minor roads, again, roads serving fewer than 10 lots, shall have sidewalks on at least one side of the road instead of both sides. So there's a public facility, say a park or playground, that's on one side of the road, that side should be prioritized. So let's see, row ID 4, and yes, some of the like number 3 was taken out because it was deemed under further review. Row ID 4, sidewalk should be a minimum of 4 feet wide. It is noted already in the ordinance, I believe, that there's a 48-inch minimum width. The original language will use this original requirement of a 4-inch thickness in concrete or other approved material on a compacted base. So I added that requirement in a new section of the subdivision ordinance. Ramps and curb cuts should be provided. That's row ID 5. Now this is already required by state statute. So I basically just added a reference to the statutory requirement that there be curb cuts or curb ramps or curb cuts for handicapped persons. So row ID number 6. Request was sidewalks must connect to existing or planned sidewalks in adjacent areas. I looked at the ordinance, I determined we need to also specify sidewalk requirements along existing roads adjacent to the project. This doesn't appear in the current ordinance. And we should require on one side of the road and the right of way. So yeah, basically this is accounting for existing roads. So there's a new requirement, proposed requirement, that a sidewalk be constructed on at least one side of any public road adjacent to a major subdivision. So not within major subdivision, the road that would more likely be servicing the subdivision. As specified, this is only required for major subdivisions. Also added a requirement that constructed sidewalks must connect to existing or planned sidewalks where feasible. Let's see, the last row ID item about sidewalks and pedestrian pathway, the request was a pedestrian pathway should connect the development to nearby public facilities or commercial areas. I found this wasn't specified in the ordinance, so I added a requirement in a new section. A pedestrian pathway shall connect neighborhood sidewalk to an existing or planned public facility or commercial area that's on an adjacent parcel, specifically on an adjacent parcel. So that's the sidewalk section. Next section, street lighting, row ID 8, developments. The request is developments to include street lighting. It's not specified in the current ordinance, so I created a new section for lighting. I added a requirement in the new section that streets and sidewalks created in major subdivisions should be illuminated. Row ID 9, common areas. The request is adequate lighting must be provided or should be provided in communal spaces. This is not specified in the ordinance, so I added that as a requirement. Common areas must be illuminated along with the street and sidewalks illumination that I mentioned in the row above. So next page, continuing with lighting. The request was common areas must have lighting evenly distributed to ensure safety and discourage dark spots. That's also not specified in the current ordinance. I added a requirement to follow the requirement in row ID, let's see, follow the requirement in row ID 9. So yes, requires illumination, or instead of, I took the language from ensure to ensure safety to improve safety. So row ID 13, recreation and open space. There was an issue with the current ordinance. The open space requirement didn't really make sense. It was taken, I believe it was taken directly from Cape Carteret's subdivision ordinance. So I basically I went to Cape Carteret's ordinance. I took their original language, I put in things that were missing in what was copied into Peltier's ordinance, and I basically rearranged it to make the process of calculating required open space, easier to follow, easier to understand. Let's see, I specified that this open space, this acreage applies to recreation or open space that's dedicated or developed. So the additional changes are things that were not requested by the planning board, but I noticed it as I was taking a closer look at, as I had time to review the subdivision ordinance. These are things to, some of them are just corrections. Some of these changes, proposed changes, are to bring the ordinance in compliance with the state statute. Row 16, defects guarantee. So defects guarantees are basically no longer allowed. You can't have a guarantee for like a maintenance guarantee. You can't have the guarantee to say like, there won't be any defects or installed improvements will be maintained, usually for 12 months. That's no longer allowed in the state statute, so I took that out. Expedited subdivision type. This probably should have been added back when the 160D updates were done. I was not involved in the 160D updates, but an expedited subdivision is basically the 160D, the article on subdivisions or section on subdivisions. It states that there are local government may allow for an expedited process for subdivision, certain subdivision approvals. Then right below that, it provides a list of, basically, it provides a list of criteria, and if this subdivision meets the criteria, then only a signature is required for approval. So, you know, when there were many updates, just subdivision ordinance updates that went along with 160D, just called this an expedited subdivision. Let's see, we'll go through the criteria. This is probably one of the more substantial changes that I have in the additional section. So, yeah, expedited subdivisions are subject to an expedited review process that only require approval by the subdivision approval officer. So they wouldn't have to go before a board. They wouldn't have to go through a multi-step approval process. If all these requirements are met, first requirement, it doesn't fall under the 10-acre exception. Second requirement, it hasn't been divided in the same way in the past 10 years, so they can't get around, other subdivision review processes by using this expedited subdivision option repeatedly. Let's see, entire area of the tract to be divided is greater than 5 acres. No more than 3 lots are created. All resulting lots, they meet town zoning requirements, setback requirements. There is a way to get in and get out of each lot or each created parcel, and that the property is under single ownership. So if all of those requirements are met, or determined to be met, then approval should be provided by the subdivision officer, just a signature on the plat. So, let's see. Row ID 18, the title of Article 10 includes abbreviated approval procedures for subdivision plats, but none of the contents of that article relates to that title. It's really about variances, so I just updated the title of Article 10 to probably variances. Yes. Actually, it's titled Variances and Abbreviated Approval Procedures for Subdivision Plats. And I just left the variance portion. Okay, so row ID 19, it had a required 3/4 vote to grant a variance. Statute requires that to grant a variance, you have to have a vote that's 4/5 in the affirmative. So also note that disqualified members should not be considered for the calculation of requisite majority. The current language that all members present, let's see, all members present conflicts with that requirement, the statute. So I updated it to all members present who are not disqualified. So basically I just updated the requirements for voting on variances to reflect what's required by the state statute. Let's see. minimum building setback from property lines. That's row ID 20. Subdivision ordinance, I believe it has its own building setback requirements. I believe that's best handled by the zoning ordinance, so I updated that to remove subdivision setback requirements and replace the setbacks, with setback should apply with each parcel's underlying zoning district. And, let's see, row 21A, homeowners association, common facilities and infrastructure. Currently, this doesn't appear in the subdivision ordinance, so, but homeowners association requirements are in the zoning ordinance. I thought that was kind of odd. It's typically specified in the subdivision ordinance if there is a separate zoning and subdivision ordinance. So this update goes hand in hand with one of the zoning ordinance amendments where I basically take the requirements in the zoning ordinance for a homeowners association, I move it into, the subdivision ordinance. And let's see, excluded 10 or more lot requirement from zoning ordinance. Yeah, there was a 10 or more lot requirement in the zoning ordinance. So, to have a homeowners association, but really with, any subdivision with private roads and common areas and private infrastructure, that needs to be maintained by somebody. So I took out that, the 10 or more lot requirement. So yeah, basically that's the first half of these updates. I know that's a lot of information at once.
All right, well, 1 second then, Carlton.
Yes, sir.
Does anybody have any questions on what Carlton has gone over to start with? I got one thing. Number 4, where it talks about the sidewalks 4-inch thick of concrete or other materials. What in the world other materials would someone use? I mean,
What? Asphalt, like a semi-permeable, type of, material.
okay, asphalt, that, I was just wondering, I said, what in the heck else could the, but asphalt is true. It'll burn the heck out of your feet, but it's very true. Okay, that's the only thing I had.
Okay.
Anybody else?
And then asphalt hadn't got to be 4 inches thick, eh?
Well, by this it does.
It's a lot of concrete. I mean, a lot of asphalt.
Require concrete, y'all think we should?
But you gotta have some.
Well, asphalt, see, it's just like, but an asphalt has to have a rock base.
Well, I don't think, maybe speaking out of school here, but I don't think that it has to be asphalt necessarily. They have all sorts of semi-permeable materials these days that comply with government requirements and permeability, especially for these coastal communities.
Well, I just wouldn't want it made with any type of wood or the synthetic decking. I wouldn't want it, because I mean that stuff will not last forever.
Yeah.
Expensive, but
Yeah.
I want to do it, so.
Pull
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Let's do it, right?
So, but that was just one thing I was thinking of, because you use synthetic decking, you gotta have wood slats underneath, you know, and you just wouldn't want that.
Let's see.
So we're through 21A.
Concrete. It says other roof material, but it doesn't say who it's approved by. Probably should, by the town.
Isn't that who would approve it?
But yeah, it should probably specify who would be approved by.
Yeah.
I think I need to look at that a little more closely. Because that is kind of ambiguous. Trying to think of the best, easiest way to handle that approval process. I'm wondering something approved by, could be something approved by the town or maybe approved from,
How about just not give them the option?
concrete or,
Nothing. Yeah, concrete or
okay.
just concrete?
I mean, you can have. Yeah, I think the way.
And they do, but that stuff's also awful rough on.
Dog's feet and all that.
Yeah, any
It's real, very
animal's
rough.
feet, child's feet, barefooted, or, I mean, it's not a smooth surface, you could trip on it. Yeah.
And if they don't
In a
border
way.
it like they're supposed to, it's gonna break.
And you're talking about a residential development.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you're right. I think-
So I would just put concrete, period.
Okay.
Yeah, concrete.
Take out the, let's see, sidewalk should be made of concrete, period. Take out the or other approved material.
No indoors, just concrete.
Right.
The board vote on that tonight, or should we just vote on it all together? Okay, we'll keep track of.
Yeah.
I'll keep track of any recommended changes, and then the board can vote on it, one time. That'll make it a lot cleaner.
Okay.
We'll have to get a meeting to do that. Does anybody else have any questions about the first rows, the first two pages I went through?
That was the only thing I had. Like I say, anybody else?
And if we're breaking this up into two nights, I mean, yeah, if y'all see any other questions about what I've already covered, please feel free to bring it back up next meeting.
Okay.
Um,
All right, that way now the board can study the next 2 pages.
yes.
Now, the ordinance that you gave us, or that we have here, this has the changes in it.
Yes, sir.
So it's just marked out what you took out and then highlighted what's
Yeah,
put back in.
yeah, that's the marked up copy. And the note location, the last column on the spreadsheet.
Yes.
I try to clearly explain where each change is in the ordinance. So
Okay.
you have a reference to look up each change.
All right. Well, see, this way, the commissioners, y'all could take a look at the rest of the changes that he's been going over. You have a copy of the ordinance with the old and the new highlighted in here. That way, next month, we can probably settle everything.
Okay.
You know, if there's no more changes, then you can, get the final the following month, and then we'll have to have a public hearing and all that other good stuff that we all love. All right. So is everybody good stopping right there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Public comment.
I'd just like to say, I'm glad that you're getting to that point to have everything so that the town doesn't get sued for something that's going on. If there's a rule and you make them come in before they develop it, then they don't have an excuse. But if it's too open, that's what goes on every day with something. So being specific is the way to go.
Okay, anybody else?
Yeah, and I think, tailgating on what Alice said, I didn't even think about that, what you said with the sidewalks. That really does make sense, because it's a development, it's a neighborhood, and with the concrete, I think of Pelletier Shores, what would you want to see out there? Regular sidewalks with concrete, nothing else. You wouldn't want asphalt, you wouldn't want any other material, so, and that's a really good point, so, yeah.
Okay, anybody else?
I had a question, and it's mainly for the fire chief. I know you had a fire over at Cape Carteret, and you had an issue with placement of your fire hydrants. Is there anything in the laws stating how far apart each hydrant has to be?
So it depends on what the use is gonna be. Generally, it's roughly 1,000 foot apart, is what the hydrants are spaced in residential neighborhoods. So a house has to be within 1,000 foot of a fire hydrant. So that's any road miles that they use.
That way you pulling 500 foot of hose.
Yeah, you're pulling, because we carry 1,000 foot of large diameter hose on our trucks. You get into commercial, you get down to the 500s and your 250s, how far they are away. So roughly 1,000 foot, and when a development comes, the plans are brought to our attention. We generally, we have the ability to measure it, and the developer will say, well, we're putting 2 hydrants in here, and we'll say, well, you can't reach the end of this street. So you're gonna have to add another hydrant, or move these hydrants to where any of the houses in the development are within 1,000 foot of a fire hydrant.
That's part of your job, doing the inspection on the plan.
Yep.
I know that was my younger brother's shed.
Oh, yeah.
But they have to inspect, like commercial development or, a residential development going in. The fire, it's gotta go through the fire department before the, building department will, release
They
it.
regulate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, is it gonna be a situation where you have to go across a swell or ditch or a water, a little creek, and you've gotta put wood across it? Sidewalks,
Yeah.
well, that we would have to.
That would be
like
based
a
on
little-
the CAMA people, because if it crosses any ditches or marshes or anything like that, and they will tell them what they have to use
so
to do that.
then are you back to just concrete still?
Yeah, basically, everything will be concrete. But the developer, if he has any wetlands on it, and
Ditches and
then,
stuff.
then he cannot
Right.
pour concrete, he has to, but, yeah, that's how part of
He
the,
has to base it on whatever CAMA tells him,
Yeah.
federal entities.
yeah.
I just want you to think about, like the bike paths.
Well, yeah, that's where I'm thinking is the bike path, where they have to put wood across
Yeah,
an
that's,
area.
Yeah, that's federal wetland protection tells them
yeah.
that circumvents everything.
Y'all, this is just, are we having any problem with West Carter Water about how many hydrants you can place? I know one time we were,
Well, they'll tell you real quick, like they're not in the fire business.
No, sir.
Real fast.
They'll tell you
Well, I
what
was
it's
just
gonna
gonna
cost.
say, we don't even, Dan, how many do we have in there? We don't have none, do we?
What in our neighborhood,
Yeah. The only one we got is out to the road.
that's it. And highway
Bedford Road.
at 58 and Pedford.
That's
In
what,
Pelletier, there's quite a few fire hydrants in Pelletier.
No, Bedford Road.
The Pedford Road,
That's
the
the point,
circle,
Yes.
my
So that,
circle,
and,
his circle, there's no fire
Probably done
hydrant
before the rules.
oh,
on
yeah,
that
yeah.
circle.
I don't
So
think
you-
that I've seen one.
Because the water line that was in there, I was either a 4-inch or 6-inch.
Yeah. So a lot of your already or older areas
What?
kind of didn't,
It wasn't in the codes then.
Yeah. I gotta be careful with what I say.
I understand.
Well, I'll put it to you this way, I'm gonna say one thing, it happened before I came.
Yes.
Well, I know because I was in on this.
Water
The fire
That's
hydrants
before
that-
they had asphalt.
The fire
That's
hydrants,
right, it was dirt.
the fire hydrants at Buck's Corner and.
Wagon.
Yeah.
I bought that,
Oh, yeah.
and
I'm
I put it
sure
in.
Fires a
Guys,
bucket.
Put it in, they didn't even know about it. And West Park, until they got around looking at it, I said, how come, what's this fire hydrant doing here? Well, it was already in, and the only reason I got it there was the guy was installing the stuff, I just paid him, and he did.
Oh, yeah.
But then, there's no like a 2-inch line going up, get right out there, there's no way you can put a hydrant in there.
Gotta be 6 inches.
Yeah. All right, everything good?
Yeah.
It's no old business, no other business. Commissioner's comment. Commissioner Quinn? Commissioner Bragg?
Yes, sir.
Mason?
Yes, sir.
David? Vance?
I've done mine.
All right. Our next meeting is Monday, April the 3rd. March, excuse me. I was gonna take a year off. But anyhow, Dan,
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Any opposed? Meeting's adjourned.